Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. Southeast Raleigh High School decided to close Tuesday after violence on campus took the life of a 15-year-old student on Monday and sent a 16-year-old to the hospital. A 14-year-old is in custody. There is a juvenile petition in the fatal stabbing. The entire school community is in mourning as staff, students, and parents try to wrap their heads around this tragedy. WRAL has had a team covering this unfolding story. In this episode, reporter Matt Talhelm joins us to talk about his role in the coverage. Matt, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So this is a really difficult story to talk about on so many levels. I'm going to point out that you and I are talking Tuesday midday, and it's a developing story. So there will probably be updates. And for that, our listeners can go to WRAL.com. So let's go back to what happened on Monday. I understand the call went out to police and EMS around 11 o'clock Monday morning that there had been a stabbing at the school. From video and witnesses, it sounds like there was a fight that started outside the gym. What do we know about this so far?
Yes, so we've been able to piece a lot of it together, both from police as well as from those videos that students were sharing all over social media. It was spreading very quickly as this was all developing on Monday. What you can see in the videos, a group of students are sort of surrounding two or three students, and a fight breaks out. There's two of them that are standing sort of facing each other in a manner that maybe you could consider threatening. And then all of a sudden this fight breaks out. You do see a student appear to pull out what is a knife. From there, it's just a sort of a melee that spreads from a hallway into the gym. And all the while, there are dozens of kids around them videotaping all of this. Within about a minute, that's about all this video lasts, is about a minute. And then you see some of the adults come in, a teacher and a security officer there and step in. But at that point, these students had already been wounded.
And I know you talked to some parents about this. One of the disturbing things is that people were taking video of somebody being injured, two people being injured, and actually one person eventually died. It seems hard to imagine videotaping this.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that one of the fathers we talked to who just happened to come to the school, he rushed there shortly after 11 o'clock when this all happened, and he just said he wanted to be there. His daughter was a freshman, her first year at Southeast Raleigh High School, and he was seeing these videos. The students were in lockdown in their classrooms and sending these videos of these students fighting and getting stabbed. And it was disturbing. And that father said, I'm so glad my daughter wasn't one of the people there videotaping all of this. He's like, what is wrong with students? They're not stepping in. They're videotaping this in what ended up being what police are considering a murder at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's voyeurism at its worst. At the same time, the video will probably be helpful to the investigators when this case eventually gets into the criminal justice system. So the school was put down on lockdown. And before we go to break, I just want to reference there was this chilling transmission over the police radio saying someone was losing consciousness. I mean, for all of the people involved, especially these first responders, this had to be surreal that this was happening at a high school.
Yeah, and when the police got there, I mean, there were dozens of police vehicles and EMS within a matter of minutes as this all happened and unfolded here. But yeah, to hear that transmission over the radio traffic for law enforcement saying he's losing consciousness right now, we're in the main gym, make sure the school is put on lockdown. And that's when that lockdown went into effect. So it was pretty quick there that this all unfolded. But I mean, as you see parents coming there, rushing to the school, and there were just police cars everywhere surrounding your child's school because of something like this happening inside.
Really scary. Okay, we're going to talk more about that after the break. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. So not too long after this happened, Wake County School Superintendent Dr. Robert Taylor and Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson came out and spoke to the media. What did they have to say?
Well, it was interesting to hear from the school superintendent, Dr. Robert Taylor. He is new to Wake County Public Schools as superintendent. So he was out there in front of all this at the very beginning, and he is promising transparency in the investigation. He says that any steps that need to be taken to improve security will be taken. He said that was his resolve, is to make sure that schools are safe, that they should be a safe haven for students and staff. So he said that they will be very transparent as a school system as this all plays out, as the investigation goes on, as they look at what other measures need to be taken. There's even a meeting happening Tuesday afternoon about school security. It was already a scheduled school board meeting for their Committee on School Safety and Security, and it'll be interesting as that meeting happens and the follow-up of what kind of responses the school system is going to take to make sure this doesn't happen again, not just at Southeast Raleigh, but other schools.
At any schools, absolutely. And I know you've been part of WRAL's team coverage. One of the things you did, you told me, was, you started kind of when you hit the ground talking to parents. I know there was one parent who said, and I guess she knew this from the video, that her child was involved in that fight, but that he did not bring the knife to school. Still don't have a lot of details on where that weapon came from at this point.
No, that mother contacted WRAL, and one of our crews went and talked with her, and she said that she dropped her son off at school. He didn't have a knife at that time. She says he did not go to school with a knife. So she believes that it came from inside the school or some other student maybe. But she says, I don't believe he took the knife into school. So that, of course, all part of an investigation now that is playing out. But we did hear from so many parents who were out there. The rumors were spreading so quickly from inside the school to the parents outside. And, they were saying that maybe it was a fight that had happened over the weekend or some sort of issue that built
kind
up,
of bled into school.
And then bled into school, which is something that if you talk to a lot of school administrators, they'll tell you the things that happen on the weekends or over a holiday week like this was.
Can also bring them,
it
come
comes
into
into
the
school
campus.
the next day.
And, I know it's very early to talk about what kind of safety protocols could be called for, but I'm sure the parents are already thinking about things. In some bigger cities across the country, they have metal detectors. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of concern over metal detectors, how that portrays a school. But at the same time, it is the kind of thing that could prevent somebody from bringing a weapon to school. What have you heard on that front from parents?
Yeah, that father that we talked to, whose daughter is a freshman at Southeast Raleigh, one of the very first things he said to us was, they need to have metal detectors in our schools here. And he said he wasn't even comfortable sending his daughter back to school at this point, and that would be a discussion they'd have to have. There are several school systems in our area that have installed weapons detection systems, which you basically just walk through them. They're almost like those, you see them at the libraries or in a store, and they can detect weapons. They may not always be able to detect a knife, though, especially if it's in a backpack or stuffed in between things. So that's something that may not be protected, or you may not be able to prevent something like that happening again. But I was surprised at how many of the parents who were waiting there to pick up their children said, we need some sort of security system, metal detectors put into these schools.
Absolutely. I can see why they would, be concerned about that and think that might be the right way to go. Now, I know we're going to be looking at a lot of things, trying to figure out more about the people who were involved. I know we have a reporter, Chelsea Donovan, who's going to be looking at how this goes through the court system. And obviously, juvenile court is confidential. Mm-hmm. So unless or until that person is bound over to adult court, we won't have a lot of information. And then you're going to be going to this meeting. Again, we're recording this on Tuesday. You're going to be going to this meeting where you don't know for sure if they're going to talk about safety, because this was a pre-planned meeting.
Right. This is a pre-planned meeting of the Safety Security Committee for the Wake County Public Schools with several members of the school board that are a part of that committee. They have it on their agenda to talk about school resource officers as well as a clear bag policy for sporting events, not in the school on a daily basis. But you have to think that they would address sort of the elephant in the room here. A student in one of their school systems was stabbed and killed. That what kind of security measures will they want to see after that? So we will be there. We'll be asking those questions, trying to get some answers about what's next at all the schools.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Matt, for your coverage. I know you and the rest of the WRAL team will continue to follow this. For more news from WRAL, sign up for the WRAL Morning Briefing newsletter. You'll be informed and ready to face the day with one concise email. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter. As always, thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download.